Kyrie was a failure. Can we just, I mean, there's no way around it. Kyrie was a failure. And you have, I think they gave up their top 10 protected. So like if you get your pick if you finish top 10 now, and if you get to the play-in game, you have no chance at it, you should start losing games, right? I know you have a generational talent in Luka,
I'm looking at it, and even like their best case, they could have a 90% record. They're too far ahead of the other.
I know, that's brutal.
Sure, nosediving.
Sucks.
All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday from sunny Florida. I am down here in FLA, the land of no sports wagering, but that's okay. I will be up in Virginia by Wednesday, starting the drive back up on Tuesday. Almost 900 miles, Eric. You better have some good podcasts out there for me. I'm going to need something on the road. We listened to a book on tape of my wife's coming down here.
Of course you did.
I'd rather we just listen to our own individual music or podcasts on the night.
Or just your thoughts, like, you know, your thoughts. I don't know. My wife has pretty good musical taste. I will say that. Some of it she's had from me. Some of it I've kind of gotten from her. I was never really big into country, even though I went to Iowa State. So kind of a weird thing because everybody was into country there. But she's got like good country music taste. So that's been a plus. But otherwise, I cannot imagine. I dated enough women to know that, yeah, when you have to listen to certain things in a car, it is, there's a reason it didn't work out.
Yes. So I'm sure she can hear me in the next room. So I'm sure I'm going to get my ass kicked when I step out of here after the show. She'll wait till there's
that can be fun.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. But we'll see. I can't remember the name of the book. It was I don't know. It wasn't bad. Oh, the what was it? The Husband's Secret.
Oh God.
Yes. It wasn't. It was better than the title. We had
blink twice if you need help.
Yes. So in any event, I'm dead. This is my farewell show. I don't think I'll be around to be on the next one. As soon as I step out of this room and the camera's off, I'm in trouble. But between now and then, we're going to get ready for what are we? A 6-game slate, 7-game slate tonight. Everything's happening at 6 o'clock. Everything's tipping off in the next 57 minutes. That would be 3 o'clock on Eric's coast over there. But we have a lot of things to talk about, so we're going to jump right in. Please do hit that like button. It does help us out a lot. And of course, subscribe. This is always fun to be here on the channel. We are cruising towards our next milestone of subscribers. We're going to get 100,000 at some point. I'm looking forward to that. But reminder, we have multiple YouTube channels here, so check out the Odds Shopper YouTube channel. Every weekday at 4 o'clock Eastern, you're going to get Lofty, Ben, Greg, Eric, and Aton, and several other contributors as they break down the night's best bets using the premium Odds Shopper tools and data. Again, that is the Odds Shop on the Odds Shopper YouTube channel. That is Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock. Eric, let's just kind of jump in here. I've got the run sheet up. There's going to be little things we look at here and there on each of the games. First one we're going to talk about is the Houston Rockets. Last I saw, they are 14-point underdogs heading into Cleveland, 14-point underdogs, and that's not even the biggest underdog on the slate. That is just wild. 228 implied point total in this game. Houston's going to be without Jae'Sean Tate. Not that it matters, but Kaminsky is going to be available. He has not played in the last 9 games. He has played in just 6 of the 18 games while he's been with Houston, but I just point that out. Cleveland also has one player listed as questionable. Now he's out. That would be Jairzinho Neto, missing his 3rd straight game with a hamstring issue. I'm turning this over to you, good sir. What do we want to do in this particular game? It seems like potentially the backcourt stands out for Cleveland. However, we have a lot of backcourt options on this slate. What do you got for us? Is there any redeeming thing on the Rockets other than taking the under on Jalen Green's 3.5 assists?
Yeah, I think 12.5 points is the prevailing number for Alperen Şengün too. I think that's going to end up getting on the betting card in some capacity, but from a DFS perspective, I'm looking at DraftKings, looking at FanDuel. I'm playing both today, and I don't see a whole heck of a lot from Houston. I think they're probably overall the most unappealing team to get to on this slate. Tari Eason kind of shows up in some lineups for me on both sites. I think part of that is that there's potential for him to be playing 30 minutes in some of these spots. This Cleveland spot, though, I mean, 228 total, 14-point dogs. I mean, their implied team total is just as low as it gets. So I can't really advocate for anything there. I think just because of the presence of the Twin Towers there in the middle, doesn't feel great to play Alperen Şengün, but that's also showed up in his 12.5 number. I think that's adjusted a little bit too low from a points prop perspective, but for DFS purposes, I really have zero interest in Houston. Everybody's back other than Jae'Sean Tate.
Yeah, I think we can maneuver on. Yeah. What do you want to hit on here for Cleveland? Aside from the starters, it's hard to anticipate anybody in particular getting blowout run. We've got unlimited value with 3 other teams on the slate. Feels like a little bit of a trap going to anybody outside of their 3 or 4 key guards / forwards. Do you want to hit on any highlights in the remainder of this game? Yeah,
Darius Garland's an awesome play on DraftKings, 7,500. You have to have some interest there. I think that's just ridiculous going up against this really, really putrid defensive squad in Houston. I think Donovan Mitchell on both sites stands out, but yeah, Garland primarily on DK, 7,500, kind of a priority for me. That's showing up. He's 30% owned in our projections here at the moment. I could see that being even a tad bit higher, but he's just kind of been adjusted too low there. Donovan Mitchell, we always know he has the kind of upside that you're looking for here, but now it's tough to really look at him at 8,500 as somebody I want to get to, and Jaylen Brown exists in that Boston spot, somebody who's really vaulted to the top of my board, a lot of people's boards, for $600 more with shooting guard small forward eligibility. So I'm going to be getting to a lot of that one. And then you can always play some Evan Mobley. 7,700 I think is a really nice tag for him over on DK, coming in a little bit over owned, but I'm okay with that. And then Jared Allen, but I really don't see any value here. It's more of just your usual suspects getting to 4 of those 5 starters on the Cleveland side, kind of rotating through your lineups. But that 7,500 number for Garland on DK specifically, that is very nice.
All right. I did a couple tweaks on the sound, and I'll make a more concerted effort to speak this way towards the mic instead of this way towards my second monitor. Hopefully that works out. Chat, let me know if I overcorrected on that. Hopefully that works for you all. Are you ready to move on to our next game here, Eric?
Yes, sir.
Washington Wizards plus 9.5 in Toronto, taking on the Raptors. 221 implied point total here. Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, and Monty Morris all out. It is going to be the Kristaps Porzingis show. I can't tell if these folks are really hurt or if the Wizards are tanking, or it is just DGAF mode at this point. A little frustrating as someone that lives in the Washington, D.C. metro area. On the other side, we have had some injuries here. Let's see if we got any updates. So Precious Achiuwa is in. He had missed the last 2 games with a hamstring issue. Scotty Barnes is questionable. He has missed the last 2 games with a sore wrist. And then Gary Trent out again. This will be the 3rd straight game he has missed with an elbow issue. I think you have Delonte Wright. I believe he's $14 over there on Yahoo. He's going to be in my main Yahoo lineup. He's going against the team that drafted him back in the 2015 season. Does that give him any extra fantasy points? We're going to find out. Kristaps Porzingis, I vote yes. Anybody else from the Wizards that you're interested in? Perhaps a Denny Avdia.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the one guy relative to ownership. Everybody's playing right today, so you're not You're not under the radar on either site trying to make your way over to Mr. Delon right there. He stands out. He's a good play on both sites. I have a ton of him. I think that it makes sense to have a ton of him here. Jordan Goodwin, decent enough there too if you want to try to swap off of it. I don't hate having both of them together. I think they're going to share the floor quite a bit here in some spots too, but I just see this being something where Deni Avdija is going in underrepresented on DK right now, and I'm not really sure why that is, because he's played 32 and 33 minutes now in starts the last two games. He's still 6,600. I know it's a sticker shock situation, but when you play him for 34, 35 minutes here, don't forget Monty Morris now off the floor. That's going to benefit him as well if this game stays within the realm of competitive. We have a lot of lopsided spreads, 14 in Cleveland. We have 15 now as the adjusted number after the Jason Tatum news in San Antonio and Boston. We've got 10 points there in OKC and Portland. So this is actually more of a middling spread amongst all of the 7 games that we have for tonight. So you can't really worry about blowout risk so much with this one. You know, you'd have to worry about it for almost every other game on the slate besides Minnesota, Golden State, and Memphis, Atlanta. And then Brooklyn, Orlando is the most competitive on the slate. But Washington, in general, Deni Avdija, I love getting to just because nobody else is. Kristaps Porzingis just showing up in some lineups. I do prefer prefer Brown still. Kristaps Porzingis over a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy, over 1.35 in these kind of circumstances. But I don't see that path to 35, 36 minutes the way that I do for Jaylen Brown. We've now seen those minutes come down a little bit. I saw 28 there against San Antonio with 0 foul trouble last game. Not so much a blowout either there. Well, it was a little bit lopsided towards the end of it, but I just love Deni Avdija considering the 12% ownership for tournaments.
Yeah, he is someone that also looks good on Yahoo. I'm not playing the blue side tonight. I got Yahoo and DraftKings up, so I'll call out any of the great Yahoo plays that I'm seeing. If you want to do the same there, are you on the blue side tonight? I'm
on both. Yep, playing both.
Perfecto. I didn't want to take any chances with this, even though I'm plugged into the router. It is not as good internet here. They just have the standard homeowners association internet. They do not have the high speed broadband here. That would be my friends who visit here from Portland several months out of the year, but they didn't spring for the spendy internet. So we shall see. Moving over to the Raptors here, Scotty Barnes is announced as in. That came out 2 minutes ago, so he will be playing again. He had missed the last 2 games with a sore wrist. To me, that dampens the expectations just a little bit on what's my current favorite Cameroonian. That would be Pascal Siakam. Siakam, I think, is a rather interesting play here. Last 5 games, 37.1 minutes, 18.2 field goal attempts, sinking almost 53% of them. That's 25.5 points, 10 rebounds, 7.4 assists, and 8 combined blocks and steals. He and Fred VanVleet tend to drive things here. I think you can look to either of them tonight. But for me, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Siakam. There's so many other guards, and there's plenty of guard value. I'm trying to find some options at the forward and center positions here. So that's the path I am taking. Break down the Raptors for us, good sir.
Yeah, we still got to wait on Scotty Barnes news. So
he's in.
Oh, he's in officially?
Yes, we don't know if I hadn't seen starting news, but they did just announce he's available to play.
I didn't see that come in. Let me double check. So I saw that Gary Trent got ruled out and that Scotty Barnes was still waiting on it, but it was a hand injury. So I'm not worried about Scotty Barnes's minutes. If he's going to be in, I would assume that he still starts. It was his offhand, not his shooting hand, that he ended up dinging up. And so I expect him being active here. If he's going to be in, I expect him to start. I expect him to play 32 minutes. So I'm pretty set with Scotty Barnes being in that rotation. I think that's a little bit of a ding to that of Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. But no, Gary Trent definitely helps. Precious Achiuwa is going to be in for this one as well. We'll see if he even gets into this rotation. I'm a little bit nervous about any Cruz Boucher love. We've now seen that price go way up. I love him. He was the hero that Gotham deserved on Friday. That's for sure. I don't think we can go back to the well necessarily here now with Scotty Barnes in, with everybody else in there. They've shown a propensity to just kind of limit him from the rotation. But if you got to shares of Siakam, Fred VanVleet, I think on FanDuel really makes sense to try to make Fred VanVleet. I think 8,900 there. He's up. Siakam's up to 9,600 there now as well. I think that's a little bit cost prohibitive. I think I'll get some of my exposure at 9,400 on DK, where he also has the power forward center eligibility. pretty valuable in that regard. And then Jakob Poeltl, I think he probably is the last shout out. Been playing a lot more minutes than he saw in San Antonio. San Antonio put him in bubble wrap. He's kind of been unleashed here quite a bit in these competitive games, playing low 30s minutes. And that is really nice for a guy who's a 1.22 fantasy point per minute score over the course of this entire season. So I like Jakob Poeltl for DraftKings, especially where you get two centers, 7,200. I like Fred VanVleet probably next in terms of the priority for both. And then Siakam is actually third today. Kind of strange for me because I generally give him more of the boost, but that cost is a little bit of an issue.
Yep. And for me, just to reiterate, the Siakam love is mostly over there on Yahoo. He is $37 there. So I think
it's a really good number.
A fine way to go.
Little bit different FanDuel. Again, Fred VanVleet, 8,900 for FanDuel purposes. That looks good to me.
All right. Anything else from this game?
Yeah, just pay attention. Obviously, we'll see the starting lineup. We have all 5 of these games locking at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So late swap, not really a thing, but being able to react to news quickly here as we get closer to lock 45 minutes away, I think that's going to be important. And I think the absolute nut game happens an hour after this window with OKC and Portland. Basically a game that seems like it's stacking up by default in my lineups somehow, some way. So I see a lot of paths to trying to get to some of these pieces where you're going to have late news react. I think Scotty Barnes starts if he's active here. So I'm pretty sure that we just kind of take a little bit off the top for all these Toronto pieces. But if you told me you got to, 10%, 15% of Fred VanVleet or Pascal Siakam or anything, I wouldn't bat an eye at it.
All right. You know what we shouldn't bat an eye at either? Bet365.
Good stuff.
They have an outstanding deal there. They're not in every state just yet, but if you are in New Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, or soon to be like me back in Virginia, you guys can get the new Bet365 offer. It's the best offer we've ever had from them. Here's the deal. Bet $1 and then get $365 in bonus bets at Bet365. There is a deposit required. It is $1, but you get bonus bets in the amount of $365 once you have made that $1 wager. There are, of course, some exclusions and time limits. One of the exclusions being you need to be in those 4 states, but an easy way to do it would be to, you don't even have to win. So an easy way to do this is just bet something on really, really high money line number or a good money line odds and clean up. It's going to be a good time. So the other thing we want to remind everybody is you do need to be 18 or older in those states before you can legally wager. And if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem, please do feel free to reach out to 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Eric, we are on to the next game. 43 minutes to go here. We've got several in the hopper. The San Antonio Spurs. This is I'm just going to say the all-time second highest point spread I've ever seen. I think I've seen an 18 or an 18 and a half. It feels like at some point, like the amazing Golden State teams.
We had Milwaukee close as 18 and a half point favorites against San Antonio on the road. Last week.
So that I don't ever remember seeing a 20. It's a huge
number. I don't either. I think Golden State was back in the day, mid 2010s. I remember one time I bet Golden State minus 20 and they won by like 35. That was a fun day.
Against like a shorthanded Grizzlies squad or something like that.
It was something stupid like that. I was in Vegas and I was having a good time.
All right. Well, hopefully Boston's having a good time. Quite a few people are out in this game. No Jason Tatum, no Peyton Pritchard, no Jeremy Sohan, no Romeo Langford. This is going to be all the Jaylen Brown in the world tonight. 235 and a half implied point total here. We do know that Devin Vassell is in, Zach Collins is in, Devontae Graham is in, Trey Jones is in, and Dougie McBuckets is also in. I believe we are still waiting for official word on Keldon Johnson. Yep. It looks like Malachi Branham is also in. So they're playing we're tanking and we're playing every other game strategy. So none of these guys are really, really hurt that I think is worth calling out. It's more about, are they going to play? How many minutes are they going to play? And, what would we like to do with them? We are seeing some of their prices tick up because they have been doing this for a little bit now. So that is impacting things just a skosh here. But what do you like from the Spurs? And then you can spend 5 minutes just saying amazing things about the Celtics.
TBD. I don't know what to say because I would have zero Spurs interest if Keldon Johnson plays. I would have pretty sparing interest in if he does not. I think there's just guys I could make a case for if you have him out. I think Zach Collins would make a lot of sense, 6,600. You have Sandro backing him up now, Mamukashvili, so you don't have to worry so much about, somebody who's serviceable backing him up there like a Charles Bassey. But I would like Zach Collins quite a bit. Devin Vassell, it's never fun to like him. So the word is not like. I could tolerate some Devin Vassell in my life. We've seen him play upwards of 35 minutes here in a couple of these starts without Keldon Johnson, then 32, 31 minutes the last two. I think that's a good enough allotment. And if this game does stay remotely competitive, which it's obviously not projected to, but I think that Devin Vassell would be one of the reasons why. So showing up in some lineups, if you were to have Keldon Johnson out, if Keldon Johnson ends up in, I have zero interest in this basketball team.
Fair enough. Transitioning over to the Celtics, Avi Schreier has dropped a $1.99 super chat. He would like to know, would you prefer Naz Reid or Robert Williams tonight on FanDuel?
Oh my God. Can I answer neither?
There is plenty of time for
Robert Williams, if I had to take one right now. But Robert Williams is center only. Nasty Naz. I mean, now we're seeing Karl Anthony Towns there alongside Rudy Gobert. He's still playing the backup five there. It's just, I got to imagine that, you're going to get these games from Naz once in a while where he's going to go out and knock him down. But like, I project Naz Reid for 20 fantasy points. So it's obviously Robert Williams between those two.
All right. What if you imagine there's no heaven?
It's easy if you try. I got you.
All right. Boston, Jaylen Brown and the Band of Renown. What do you have besides Jaylen Brown? We were pointed out that it is a Derek White remember me opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot that we need to talk about with Boston. So first of all, Jaylen Brown, 1.2 fantasy point per minute producer, going to be north of 1.35 on FanDuel when you have Jason Tatum off the floor. Derek White comes into the conversation a little bit, but Marcus Smart has just routinely been very, very cheap here. He's still $6K over on FanDuel. His DK price of 5,600 looks really, really good. I mean, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart are priorities for me on this slate. I don't worry about the blowout because if it does happen, those two are probably two of your major culprits. I have actual interest in Robert Williams and Grant Williams and Sam Hauser and Al Horford and Derek White on DraftKings. I think it's easier to take some of those shots over there on FanDuel. The prices just get a little steep on some of those guys, like a Malcolm Brogdon. Al Horford is really unappealing on FanDuel at 6,200. I would rather take those Robert Williams shots if you're going to do something, although I'm not getting to a lot of him here at the moment. But on DraftKings, I mean, I'm just rotating through so much of this team. We need to see what that starting lineup ends up being. They've gone to a number of different configurations, absent Jason Tatum. And now you do have Robert Williams back in the mix here. Robert Williams is 4,600 on DraftKings. I expect those minutes to start getting ramped up here sooner rather than later. We haven't projected for 25 here at Stochastic. So I think he's in play in a pretty prominent way. Sub 5K. It's hard to find many guys who, I mean, he's 1.03 fantasy points per minute on this season. But in years past, he's been a 1.1, 1.2 kind of guy. So I love that play for tournaments on DraftKings specifically. Otherwise, I mean, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, give me all of them you got. It's hard to get away from that for me.
Tell people just quickly how you took advantage of a little Jaylen Brown news, because people, they hear Greg always talking about taking advantage of line movements for sports parlay lines, etc. You don't have to be in a legal sports gambling state to take advantage of some of these things here. What did you do with Jaylen Brown over there on our friends at Prize Picks site?
Yeah, so over on Prize Picks, it's just one of those things where you have about like a minute, and I generally drop everything in the premium Discord, try to give everybody a heads up. I did that when Vooch got ejected. They had second half lines that were still sitting up there and stale. Zach LaVine's already gone over his points prop for the second half in one quarter of basketball there. So now they're going into the fourth. They're still up 13. That game needs to stay intact because I need DeRozan to still do something for me. But I was able to take advantage of that. And then for Boston, you had a 41.5 fantasy score. It wasn't even middled. It was just assuming Jason Tatum was in. And so as soon as that news broke, I combined him and Marcus Smart, my two favorite plays that I think are under projected over on Prize Picks as is. And then, without Tatum, who, one of the top 10 players in the NBA from a fantasy point per minute rate, and just a stud, somebody who's going to be projected for around 50 fantasy points every time he steps on the floor. I just jammed both of them together, and you could put any odd prop with it, and you have a positive expected value card just because of how great those two plays are. So don't get strapped up in trying to figure out what that third leg needs to be. It could be almost anything. I had a couple of plays in mind. You can go over to NBA Bet Pro. You can sort by the Prize Picks log, and you can just find one of those top plays. I knew DeJounte Murray was going to be near the top of that with 5 rebounds. And I just kind of attached that to a number of different Celtics plays. But Jaylen Brown is now up to 45.5 fantasy score. We haven't projected north of that. It's FanDuel scoring. So just took advantage of some late news.
Yeah, and that's a great one. You guys can do it on your own, but if you're in the betting Discord or even on the chalkboard app that we have been rolling out there for the last week or so, these are good ways to just get little alerts, take advantage of some of these things. Every little bit helps. That's something that is I'm trying to get better and better at, because again, it's not just sports wagering; it's also on these parlay prop sites. But reminder, you can get 1 free month over there on Prize Picks if you come in through the link below us here in chat. You also get a deposit match opportunity up to $100. You put in 50, they give you 50. You put in 100, they give you 100. You put in 200, they give you 100, because it's a $100 deposit match. But those funds do come out of your account first and onto your cards automatically. You can do 5x and now 6x. You go 5 for 5, you get 10x your money. Go 6 for 6, get 25x. I got the white whale, the 25x are there on Friday. That was a lot of fun. $20 into 500. Check them out over there on Flex Fridays. They usually will back your first flex wager of everybody playing in that day's games. They'll give you cash back up to $20. Pretty good deal there. Pretty good deal. All right, we ready for the next game, good sir? Before we went off on a little bit of a tangent, it was Boston that was being wrapped up.
Boston, I repeat, on DK, depends on that starting lineup. I'm paying attention to the news. I'm just waiting to see what it is. We got the starting lineup. Barnes is starting for the Raptors. Wanted to bring that up. We got the normal starting lineup for the Cavs. Archie Diacono, Sharp, Tybal, Watford, Eubanks, identical lineup to what we got on Friday. So far news has been as expected. And Washington, we got that lineup as well, right? Kispert, Avdia, Porzingis, Gafford, just reaffirms my Avdia interest.
Yep, and Royce O'Neal is out for Brooklyn. We'll get to
that kind of matters a little bit, I will say.
Yep, we'll get to that game in just a moment. In the meantime, we're going to make a stop here between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Atlanta Hawks. A 247 implied point total here. Oh, I'm sorry. It's ticked up to 248. We still haven't seen a 250. We haven't seen a 250 yet.
Yeah, I bet the under. So guaranteed 145, 140 incoming.
All right, Ja Morant moving back into the starting lineup here. DeAndre Hunter is available. Bogdan Bogdanovic still questionable here. He has, where are my notes? He is just dealing with the sore knee. Hunter had missed the last game with the knee injury, but he is available tonight. Ace of Spades, I will get to your tiers question here in just a moment, but I'm going to let Mr. Lindquist discuss the Memphis Grizzlies here. In just a game, this is like, it's a pick 'em almost. Memphis underdogs by 2.5 points, 248 implied points here. This is like an all-star game without the all-star.
Well, there's some all-stars, Ja Morant, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. I would be okay and safe calling them all all-stars, even if I don't think Trae Young is like the guy you want to be building your basketball team around. But I think this game is like I'm changing my tune a little bit. I'm not going to call it game stacking. I'm definitely not, but when I've built out some of these Prize Picks cards, it's got me thinking about things from a DFS perspective a little bit differently, where I think having a rule where you could get to, like, if I'm going to play Ja Morant in this starting lineup, which is very, very serviceable, 8,700, I just put his minutes up to 28. I don't know really if I want to go above that, even in the starting lineup. I don't think we're there yet where he's going to be playing 30 plus right out of the get-go. It's in play. We don't know, though, based on the 20-minute complete blowout shellacking they put on Houston in the second game they got to face Houston there. I think 28 is just the safest way to go project his minutes. But if I'm going to play him, I almost want to bring somebody from Atlanta along for the ride in some of these spots. Like, you don't have to by any means, but like this game environment, you don't run into many 248, 249 totals in the association in 2023. It's just, I don't know, him, Clint Capella on the other side. They're just guys that you could get to individually, but like I find myself trying to get to like Ja Morant plus Jaren Jackson Jr. on DK and then running it back with some Trae Young, trying to get to just because I feel like I'm not getting to much of as much as this game as I should, considering the total. So like I'm boosting, trying to find ways to just get to like pieces of this game in the same lineups. I mean, Ja Morant is a 1.52 fantasy point per minute producer this season. He was on pace to just do ridiculous things when he was playing mid 30s minutes. We were paying north of 10K for him. Getting him at 8,700 feels like a discount. There were a lot of games that they had blowouts where he was playing 32 minutes and you just loved having him in those lineups. So even at 28 minutes, considering the price decrease, he just stands out as like the best play from this game. But like, I'm finding paths to combine him with some Atlanta pieces, mainly because like nothing else about this game stands out as much now that Ja Morant is starting. It depreciates my interest in Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dillon Brooks, I absolutely hate. Xavier Tillman's getting some ownership on FanDuel. I kind of get it, but I also kind of don't. It's just somebody that I'm not getting to a lot. So trying to get my Ja Morant to go along for the ride with somebody from Atlanta.
That seems like a pretty savvy play here. Who would you like to call out in particular from Atlanta, considering they are mostly back to full health now?
Yeah, it's Clint Capella, Trae Young, you know, your usual suspects there. I don't really think you need to get as cute as John Collins. I don't really know what to make of this. I've tried to play him in some of these spots. He's now played 32 the last two, so there's something to kind of draw on that it's going in a positive direction. But now on FanDuel, he's 5,600. So I mean, you basically have a lot of that upside squeezed out of it. And at 5,400 on DK, I'm just really not getting to him. So it's mainly your top studs there. I think all of our value is pretty self-explanatory as it stands right now. Getting to a lot of the Portland pieces, rotating them in. Yeah, I don't really find us needing to get to anything else from Atlanta.
All right, let's utilize this opportunity to answer Ace of Spades questions about tiers on DraftKings. Tier 1, absolutely lock in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No, literally lock him in because Tatum and Lillard are your other options and they're not playing tonight. Tier 2 gets a little interesting. Steph Curry comes out at the top. I give him just a skosh of an advantage here. Pascal Siakam would be my number 2 play. Kristaps Porzingis would be number 3. I really like all 3 of those guys. I'm using them as differentiation options in my tournament lineups. That would be Siakam and Curry. However, we only get to pick one of them here. I think I'd land on Curry. Jaylen Brown is pretty much the easy option here to take on tier 3 with Boston. He projects well above everybody else. If you were looking for a pivot, I would probably go with Fred VanVleet. Moving on to tier 4. Ooh, this is a tough one here, Eric. We've got Spencer Dinwiddie going against Orlando, who we're talking about in just a moment. DeJounte Murray in that delicious matchup that you just broke down, and Jaren Jackson Jr., all separated by 1.5 points. Do you have a lean between Dinwiddie, Murray, or Jaren Jackson in the tiers contest here?
I mean, those are all pretty darn close. Let me pull it up. I'd probably go. You said Bridges, Dinwiddie, and Murray.
Dinwiddie, Murray, and Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, God, that's so close. I'm probably gonna go Dinwiddie there.
Okay, or DeJounte Murray if you're a fan of the University of Washington.
Yeah, I'm not. So Spencer Dinwiddie.
Ouch, that hurts. The next one.
What time do they play today?
They prefer not to play in the postseason.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Okay. Mikal Bridges, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. Amongst that trio, I would lean towards Garland. And then tier 6, Nicholas Claxton stands out. Your alternate play would be Jakob Poeltl. I prefer Poeltl on the 3 blocks, 3 steals side. So I would lean towards Claxton there with the double-double potential. I think that'll get us to our next game. Mr. Lindquist, the Nets, the Orlando Magic. We have Seth Curry out, Royce O'Neal out, Edmund Sumner out, Jalen Suggs in. He has missed 4 games in the concussion protocol. And then we have Franz Wagner, who is in. I don't think he missed a game, but he's dealing with a sore ankle. break it down here. You mentioned with no Royce O'Neal, you're back to having interest. Oh, this just in: Ben Simmons not playing tonight.
Oh,
shocking. I want to clarify that. What do you got here for the Nets?
Yeah, I think I have a little bit more interest now. So I think the three up top that I feel like I get to over the field every single slate are Dinwiddie, Bridges, Claxton. We've seen some weird stuff where the coach will just bench Bridges in the fourth quarter if they end up way behind, and then they play a bad bench like Denver's bench, and then Bridges doesn't come back on. I have to just like throw those games out of my memory. I have so much scar tissue from them, because then you get stuff like the 38 minutes we got against Miami for him. It's like you're up by 25 and you still have Bridges out there closing. So like, for all intents and purposes, Bridges is a fantastic play, but Dinwiddie is my favorite play by far on DraftKings. 8,300 seems like a little bit of an overpay, but if you've been watching him here since he got back to Brooklyn, I mean, these assist rates are just out of control, man. Like north of 40%. We're talking double digits assists almost every single time out. That double-double type certainty, or like probability, should I say, at 8,300 just gives him a little bit more of a buffer and throws him up above a 40-point projection here at Stochastic. So like Mikal Bridges on DraftKings is just, Spencer Dinwiddie on DraftKings is just a phenomenal play. And then on FanDuel, 8,200, still decent. Mikal Bridges, I think, is probably a little bit better with the shooting guard small 40 at 7,800 there. But I mean, I like them both. And then Nicholas Claxton, I'm over the field almost all the time, just because at the center position, he's one of those guys that can get there without any usage whatsoever, gets so many blocks from time to time. I think he's had 3 blocks his last 2 games as well. But now with no Royce O'Neal, I do have a little bit of interest in Cameron Johnson at 6,200 on DraftKings. I think, we've seen those minutes come down a little bit, but that was wonky blowout against Miami. In that Cleveland game, he got dinged up. So like, I feel like 6,200 Cameron Johnson is not going to get any kind of ownership. He's right now at 3%. And I think he's kind of the guy who jumps to the top for me. I don't really think we need to try to make DFS a thing at 4K. He might show up in a lineup or two for me as I update everything without Royce O'Neal. But I wanted to give a specific shout out to Cameron Johnson, who, you know what you get. You got to get some hot shooting from 3, but he's nearly a fantasy point per minute guy. I expect him to play 32 minutes without Royce O'Neal. That projects out really good for me.
I'm calling it up right now over here on ODDSSHOPPER, the old points, rebounds, and assists, because Cam Johnson is one that I like to look at a fair amount. Now that he has changed squads here, we can get the over 21.5 on Cameron Johnson at -104. That feels like a reasonable play there, points, rebounds, and assists.
I do too. Yeah, I love that we just added points, rebounds, assists, because I mean, I've been playing a lot of those throughout the year. On Friday, when 8-1 on the betting card and the PRAs were just coming through the roof, and I was doing some cross-referencing to make sure that everything looked good in NBA Bet Pro, and having the PRAs show up. It's just, I feel like those lines can be less efficient from time to time. I think that they get set wonky when you're talking about half a point here and there. When you add them all up together, it's hard to be as efficient having the 3 together as opposed to each one individually, where you can go case by case basis and set a pretty efficient line if you're the book. So really like that we incorporated PRA for the whole shebang.
All right, I'm going to drop the DFS building blocks article into the YouTube chat here. This is free every single day on the homepage at Stochastic. I want to point that out, one, because it's a great article, because it breaks down the building blocks of the day. So we're going to put in some top end plays that are unlikely to see their world rocked when people are out. We'll highlight a few of the game scenarios here where there's uncertainty and likely to be a lot of value, because we want this to be a worthwhile article. And then there's also the wager of the day in there that utilizes the Bet Pro and ODDSSHOPPER in combination with the stochastic projections. Today's recommended wager, the under on 3.5 assists for Jalen Green. He's going up against Cleveland. It's going to be a tougher matchup. They're playing at with a lot less possessions than most of the league, and between that and the defense and him needing to look for offense, I think he stays under 3.5 assists. Well, technically, I think he gets under 4. We're projecting him for 3.33, but he needs to get to 4 before we lose that wager. I do like that one over there. So check that out. Maybe you could use that one as your Bet365 wager. All right, Eric.
We got Sam Hauser starting for the Celtics. Want to throw that out there, 3,500.
Circle back to that. That was a name.
Yeah, he's your best piece of value on the slate now.
Yep. Happy March, everyone.
shooting guard, small forward, 3,500. I'm going to play a lot of Sam Hauser.
All righty. Anything else you want to call out here for Brooklyn? Or would you like to roll on over there to the Magic that have some amazing individual pieces here? A lot of raw talent. Will they put it all together? Well, we're going to find out. But I think I would swap the whole Washington Wizards roster for the Magic roster right now.
I probably would too.
Paolo Banchero,
yep.
Jalen Suggs. What do you got here for us? It's getting a little crowded. So no Jonathan Isaacs, the poor guy.
Yeah, I love Paolo Banchero as a basketball player, less so as a fantasy asset today. Today's just a day where if you show up with a little Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., it's fine. They're lineup filler. I don't think any one of them is really a priority, but like every single price across the board has gone up on this slate, or for this slate, should I say. And as fun as they are to watch, they definitely cannibalize each other's fantasy production quite a bit. You have a 7,600 Banchero pulling the most ownership, probably the best play out of everybody. But yeah, I don't see a whole heck of a lot here.
All right, here's a good one from Nicholas Barrett, 199 Super Chat. Would you go with Sam Hauser or Keon Johnson, who we're going to talk about?
Definitely Sam Hauser. Definitely Sam Hauser.
Is that because he is less popular?
No, it's because I project him for about 6 fantasy points more than Keon Johnson.
Okay, well, perhaps this fella here is going to go swap out Keon Johnson and Sam Hauser in his Yahoo line.
I mean, Keon Johnson is not Keon Johnson. Did he get the start? I'm confused. I'm so maybe not 6 fantasy points. I was a little hyperbole. I was just kind of being sarcastic, but let me double check because
Johnson did not start. He did have 4 fouls in 26 minutes, and he got.
I'm very confused. I'm very confused why he's 62%. Sam Hauser's going to be less popular, and I'm going to project him for about the same amount of fantasy score. We have him projected for almost 30 here at Stochastic. I do not have him projected for higher. I have 26 for Keon Johnson right now.
Okay. Well, we
have Sam Hauser for 27 and a half.
Starting up until about 300 seconds ago.
I mean, the answer is you can play a lot of both. Like I'm probably going to end up getting to both quite a bit. There's no way I'm going to be at 62% Keon Johnson. I can tell you that much right now.
Okay. That's a fair one. Let's move on to the Oklahoma City game. Let's start with the Portland side here, just because they're going to have the majority of the moving parts. Shout out to Damian Lillard, Yusuf Nurkic, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, and Justice Winslow. We hardly knew you. Probably not going to see you again for the remainder of the season here. Shaedon Sharpe, I expect him to play around 36 minutes. I don't think they're going to necessarily run him into the ground for the remainder of the season. He's played 38 and 40 in the last 2 games. That is a potential possibility. I think 36 is a more appropriate expectation there. You're going to likely see Trendon Watford in the starting lineup along with Drew Eubanks. Keon Johnson remains to be seen. We'll hand that one over to Eric here. Cam Reddish he's all right. And then you've got the adults in the room, Ryan Arcidiacono and Nasir Little. They're going to be there to be that veteran steadying presence. I don't see them really playing more than about 24 minutes per game here. Eric, you like to dive through the rotations. I know you've looked a lot here with Portland over the last couple of games here. What do you want to call out here? Because they're not shorthanded enough that everybody's playing just a crap ton of minutes. I don't think they want to necessarily overburden a lot of their players, because why get them injured at this point in the year? And you can only get so much seasoning. But what do you got here on the Blazers for us?
I think it's really hard. We basically have a 1-game sample size now of no Damian Lillard, no Anthony Simons, no Jeremy Grant, no anybody. I mean, their core is just done for the year. Let's just throw it out there. Greg and I talked about that a lot on Friday. And looking at this 1-game sample, I'm really uncomfortable by a lot of things. The first thing that stood out to me going through it from last game was Matisse Thybulle played 14 minutes in a start. He's starting again today. We have him projected for 26 and a half minutes, 27 minutes. I don't know what to make of that. Ryan Arcidiacono only played 22 minutes in that start. They got completely blown out of the water. Now, is it just a blowout thing and we have to be paying attention to it from that lens? Or is this something where they're going to really open up this rotation? And that's where my Keon Johnson, I'm not going to call it disinterest, but like I'm definitely nervous. Definitely nervous about a guy who, I mean, he's a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. He's 1.1 looking without Lillard, without Simons, without Grant, without Nurkic on the floor. So he's definitely somebody who can command usage. but he's coming off the bench, and I am not positive that Matisse Thybulle doesn't just show up and play a regular allotment of minutes in a more competitive game here. It is a wonky spread. We're seeing OKC. How many times have you ever seen OKC on the road as double-digit favorite? Like, we've never really seen this. So this is a lot of uncharted territory. Arcidiacono, this is a completely different slate than we had last Friday. I'm not going to be playing him as a value play whatsoever. The fantasy point per minute rate doesn't really warrant it. We have Hauser. We can take some Keon Johnson in our lives. Sweet. But my favorite guy to get to by far on the Portland side is Shaedon Sharpe. I think we're going to see him command a ton of the usage. He's now played 40 and 38 minutes. I think he's pretty game script proof. We saw him play alongside Lillard and play 40 minutes. We saw him play independent and start without Lillard, and he played 38 minutes in a blowout. So I think he is probably the guy that they're just willing to go out and just shove the minutes down his throat. We have him projected for around 36 minutes right now. Nobody else on Portland is around 30 minutes other than Trendon Watford, so who's projected for just north of 30 and a half. I think that just creates such a wide gap for me between Shaedon Sharpe and everybody else on this team. Trendon Watford's okay to get to, but he's expensive. 20.8% though, that makes it a little bit intriguing to try to force to get to some of it. But let me just say, I am less than half the field on Keon Johnson, and I'm just fine with it right now. He's not in the starting lineup. I'm not convinced that Matisse Thybulle isn't going to be playing 25, 26 minutes here. Might as well just see if he can be some kind of an offensive piece at some point in time. I don't expect that. Nobody does. He's a defensive stalwart, but like, I think the run is available for him there. Jabari Walker played a lot because of a blowout. Nasir Little got 17 minutes because of a blowout. Lots of weird things that I don't know necessarily what to do with it. All I know is that I do not want to play a Keon Johnson at that kind of ownership.
Does it change your mind if I let you know that today is Ryan Arcidiacono's birthday?
Nope, 0%. But he's going to try harder.
Wenyen Gabriel has only got 8 minutes so far, and it's his birthday today.
That's sad.
I'm not sure this birthday thing really works.
Well, one can dream, one can hope, one can pray, all those things.
One can eat, one can love.
Oh, look at that. That's disgusting, EMac.
DraftKings, $1.99 super chat here from James Magruder. He's got $7,100 at utility. Eubanks or somebody else?
I love Eubanks. So yeah, Eubanks I'm over the field on. I know it seems weird, but again, 4K, it's really hard over on DK not to have a ton of interest in him. He's right around a fantasy point per minute guy, independent. All the four guys I just talked about from Portland off the floor in Wowie. So I am right there for him. I have projected for 27 fantasy points today at 4K. That's pretty appealing.
All right. And then I'm calling up anybody under 7,100. I've just uploaded our current projections. Oh, I hate that I automatically push the old reset button instead of just letting Fantasy Country do its thing. So he has $7,100. If you were looking at just the raw projected points, Nicholas Claxton is our number one play. Klay Thompson is number two. Wendell Carter looks like he's number three. Those guys are all in the mid 30s. If you want to have some extra funds, potentially upgrade another position, you can get Trendon Watford there at 35, and he's just 6,400. Derek White also at 34. He is 6,400 as well. Any of those names jump out to you?
I was kind of listening.
$200 today. I wouldn't lose sleep if you leave a couple $100 today. Now that we got Hauser and Keon Johnson.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even hear what it is. I trust you.
All right.
I was updating stuff.
Do you want to look at your FanDuel cash locks? I will call out some
I will do that for you.
Cash locks here.
Okay.
So DK, Keon Johnson, Drew Eubanks, Shaedon Sharpe, those are going to be your keys. I would probably, I don't know that I want to burn a center spot on Trendon Watford. I think you can definitely go to DeLon Wright there. If we're looking for our higher end options today, I really, really, really like Steph Curry. We're going to talk about him in just a minute. I think you're getting 40 fantasy point floor, 50 fantasy point upside. Jaylen Brown needs to be in your cash game, and then probably go with Porzingis or Siakam or Shai Gilgeous as your secondary spend up there.
All of those things sounded beautiful.
Anything you want to throw out there for the old FanDuel.
Yeah, so FanDuel, you're locking in Delon Wright, Drew Eubanks, Trendon Watford, Shaden Sharp. Those four for sure. I probably lean towards putting in Jordan Goodwin as well. 4,800 for him. I mean, those are five really, really cheap plays. You should be able to get to the access point of SGA. I'm going to call Jaylen Brown a lock for cash games on FanDuel as well. 8,700. Just give me all of that you got.
All right. And then one more super chat here, James Magruder, under 4,700 on 47 or under on DK.
4,700 or under on DK. 47, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Anything I want?
Anything you want. It's utility spot. I think it's
okay. Well, it's a pretty dead range outside of Jordan Goodwin, so I'll go Jordan Goodwin 4,500.
All righty, that gives us 11 minutes left. Let's hit the Oklahoma City side here. They are brawling their way into the postseason here. That would be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Did you know that the 3rd and the 12th best records are separated by 4 games right now in the Oklahoma?
I did not.
In the Western Conference, each team has between 7 and 9 games left on the season. This is an island game for OKC. They lost the last 2 in Los Angeles, 1 against each of the LA squads here. Alexei Pokusevski should be making his return tonight. He's missed 3 months with the leg fracture. So he's going to be back. You've got SGA, you've got Giddey, you've got Jalen with the LEN Williams. I think those are your core plays there. Not Pokusevski, but the other 3. Lujan Dortz, Jalen Williams with the Y. I think they pop up there as differentiation options. In the main slate, they're okay on the late slate. Take us through the Thunder, and then we got one more game to go.
Yeah, SG is awesome. I think just from a spend up perspective, probably my favorite guy to get to compared to their ownership right now. I think Jaylen Brown's going to be obviously very owned and should be. I think he might even be higher owned than we currently have projected, just because we have some stuff where we got to get Tatum out of that. I'm looking over on DK. Yeah, so looks good here. I just love getting to SGA. This is an OKC team that till they lost that close one to the Clippers last time out, they're 500. I mean, it's pretty wild to think about this team being a 10-point favorite here, but they should be on the road here against this iteration of Portland. And SG is just such a major offensive catalyst. He's just got the upside you're looking for there. I don't mind getting to some Pokusevski at 3,700 on DraftKings. I think that that's going to be a very underrepresented play. Not positive you need to force it in at 4,400 over on FanDuel. Again, we saw 0 time for him there, but I expect him to get back into that rotation here at some point very, very quickly. Don't think you need to take that kind of a risk, though, on this slate specifically. So just wanted to throw it out there. If this game gets wonky, he might just end up smashing because he's an over fantasy point per minute guy and he's sub 4K on DraftKings. But because of some of the value we've had shown up, there's more secure value. I don't feel great about Josh Giddey, but I think you can take a couple of shots on him. Over a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy has looked good alongside SGA. We've seen that. My big concern with him is he hasn't closed a lot of these competitive games. I don't expect this one to be competitive based on the spread, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up being. And he hasn't been closing out. It's been Isaiah Joe and Wiggins that have closed out some of these games of late. So I'm not in love with it. 7,900 on FanDuel, though. You could talk me into a little bit.
Keldon Johnson is out
tonight. Keldon Johnson is?
Keldon, not Keon.
Good.
Keldon of the Spurs.
So Zach Collins, I mean, that's it for me, really. I meing, him and Sohan are just guys you can get to. Maybe Keita Bates-Diop. I could maybe talk myself into some Keita Bates-Diop here. They got to play O-wing, right? Like, what else are you going to do out there?
Deontay Graham. The diminutive Deontay Graham.
We got 26 and 28 minutes the last 2 from Keita Bates-Diop. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play 28-30. It's not fun, but
7 minutes. The Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors. Do you think your guy, Anthony Edwards, plays? He has missed the last 3 games. Has there been an injury there? It says 3 games with an illness.
Yeah, it's weird.
A knee or something?
Yo, he had the really bad ankle sprain that I thought he might be done for. He got carried off the floor.
But do you think he plays tonight?
Do I think he plays tonight? I do not think Anthony Edwards plays. I'd say he's probably 35-40% to play. I would lean towards him being out. And then I'm going to go with, I think Karl Anthony Towns plays for what it's worth. I know that they've been monitoring him, and it's a right calf strain, which sounds like maybe something, but they've done this a lot with Gobert and with Naz Reid. I think this might just be them putting that same questionable tag on him and he's good to go. It's really hard to be able to react to anything that happens here. But the nice thing is that Naz Reid is 6,400. You shouldn't have to think about that with Rudy Gobert there, considering he's off of the injury report. I really would have no Naz Reid interest on FanDuel at that kind of a number. So I think that calms some of my fears there. I think what would be interesting to me is like if you get Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns out, I would want a lot of this team. We're seeing Mike Conley 6,200. I know that seems like an overpay, but I would want to get there. 5,100 Naz Reid on DK. I think you can make a case for Torian Prince 4,700, maybe a little bit. Jaden McDaniels, we've seen some ultra ceilings. I don't expect 43 fantasy points we got from your Washington Husky Jaden McDaniels last game. I'm not a huge fan of trying to build out lineups with this kind of news in mind. We have enough stuff from OKC Portland where I could probably, if that news comes out within that hour and a half time frame, get to some Minnesota, get to some Karl Anthony Towns if he gets ruled in and Anthony Edwards gets ruled out. But assuming both those two are in, I have zero interest in this team outside of Anthony Edwards, and I wouldn't be able to get to him.
Let's see. What do you have? What are your thoughts on Steph Curry? He's going to have to carry Golden State once again. No Wiggins, all Curry all the time. I love Curry in the spot tonight.
Yeah, it's hard not to like Curry just for tournaments all the time. I will say the one way you could maybe get to something is you could build out with a Minnesota piece or have two Golden State pieces in the lineup, and you might be able to react to some of that news. Draymond Green seems to be popping on DraftKings for a lot of people. Feels a little chasey to me. He's played well the last two games. Played 35 minutes there, that last one. I don't know really what to make of that. That seems a little bit outlierish to me. He is 6K, so that helps. I'm not going to get to 23% of him, I can tell you that much. I like getting to Steph Curry like you do. 9,600 seems like a fair number to be getting to him. But Klay Thompson's my favorite Warrior to get to for tournaments. The same thing you feel about Steph, where he could go ultra hot and win you a tournament. It's the same thing with Klay. He's playing 36, 37 minutes in competitive spots. You get the shooting guard, small forward eligibility, and he's sub 7K. So I feel like, Steph Curry certainly is somebody you can get to, but equal ownership going to Klay Thompson with better positionality and the same kind of like, hey, I just knocked down 8 threes and won somebody a tournament. Like you're getting that same kind of upside with Klay.
All righty, we've got 4 minutes to go. How are you doing on uploading your lineups?
We'll see. I'm getting to just way too much Sam Hauser. I need to get him down because I don't want to play like 40% Sam Hauser.
Oh, I'm rolling with 70% him. 70%.
Jesus Christ.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
I don't like live.
Oh, I see what you did there. I'm going to upload my lineups right now.
Me too.
See if there's anything interesting going on here in chat. Let's see. I'm on my work computer and I did not log out of our firewall, so I can't get on over there to Prize Picks because I wanted to put in some Prize Picks. I'm very, very sad about that. But you guys can... I know it's very sad, but you guys can check out Prize Picks. Reminder, if you go in through the link that is in the YouTube description here below us, when you sign up, you get a deposit bonus up to $100 and 30 days of stochastic premium content. That is the best offer we have out there. The second best offer we have out there is going through our link. If you are in one of the 4 states previously mentioned, you can get into Bet365, wager $1 to win $365 in bet credits. Doesn't get more exciting than that. Check that out as well. Hitting upload here. Can't find the tab. There we go. I'm uploading. We'll cruise on over here. It looks like the DK20 Max might have a little room in it. Yahoo did a pretty good job of sizing their contests today. Let's see here. Go to upcoming. They have all of their marquee contests filled. So shout out to them. And then my real question is, do I go with Hauser or do I go with Keon Johnson tonight?
So I mean, I like Hauser a little bit more. The projections here, like Keon Johnson, a lot more. I think the answer is probably you could get to either one. I'm going to split the difference and just say, whichever one you want to roll with. The nice thing about Keon Johnson is you can kind of like react to how your lineups are doing a little bit and you can get away from it. You should have a lot of other Portland pieces to rotate around. So gives you a little bit of late swap maneuverability by getting away from it there. But again, that doesn't need to be like a priority for today.
Real quick, Siakam or Jaylen Brown, $40 single entry for Frank.
Siakam or Jaylen Brown?
Yep.
Let's go with Jaylen Brown.
Go, so put that in. Hopefully he sees that. I tagged him. Hopefully he got that. My apologies. Let's see if we missed anything. Oh, Sharp or Smart on DK for James Magruder. I'd still go with Shade and Sharp.
I love both today. I have a lot of both today, but Shade and Sharp for sure. I have more of, just slightly. 58% Shade and Sharp, 47% Marcus Smart.
All righty, we are at lock. Oh, sorry, I missed somebody asking if they could see the ownership. You can see the ownership anytime you want.
Super chat.
If you have stochastic premium, a lot of different ways to get stochastic premium. You sign up for BetMGM, win a little scratch over there. You can get 30 days from them. You can sign up for Bet365, win a little scratch, get in here behind the paywall. Go to Prize Picks, deposit $100. They will give you $100 deposit match and 30 days of stochastic premium. Get that stochastic logo. Finish top 3 in any contest of 5,000 or more. First, second, or third, no ties. Top 3, not tying with 1,000 of your best friends. Top 3, that'll get you 30 free days of stochastic premium. Those all get you the ownership on demand whenever you want it. Player projections, and what do we have? Like 9 sports underway right now. Plus, DraftKings is doing crowns for esports. Guess who's in the esports worlds again? 2 thumbs pointed at this guy. Not too shabby. Not for me. It's a good show. We ran a little bit out of time here at the end, but there's rare 7-game slate here for us on a Sunday. I'm just checking ahead. We're going to get some wonky schedules. So remember, the national championship game for the NCAAs, there's no NBA that night. This Saturday, because of the Final Four, there are only 2 games. But next Sunday, oh dear goodness, there are 4 6:00 games, 2 7s, 2 8s, and an 8:30. We better get a deeper dive and live before lock for next Sunday to handle all of that, because Saturday gonna be a little light there with just the 2 games, because of course the Final Four gets underway on Saturday. Final thoughts, Eric, before we get on out of here and you start recording Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks.
Oh, look at that. Appreciate you. Yeah, check that out over on OddsShopper. For me, I'm just going to be reacting to how my lineups are doing with 5 games now locked, 2 to go. I want to have the swap ability. I have so much Portland and OKC that I should be able to react to anything that I want to based on this next hour of play. If I have some dead lineups, might try to get a little contrarian for sure, getting away from Keon Johnson. Again, I just got to look at that play a little bit more. It's just not my favorite here at the moment. And then if we do somehow get that Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns news here before that OKC Portland game locks, I'll be able to do something about it. Otherwise, hard for me to really build out anything to react to it just because of how good the value is in the games before.
All right, with that, we're going to get on out of here. Reminder, tune into that new show, The Odd Shop, over on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. That is going to be Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern every day. Hat tip to Mike Lawrence, the producer behind the virtual glass. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.